to join it for you. You gotta go down and join the union for yourself. So, great songs, great people, and it is my pleasure to introduce the wonderful representative from California. You might know her from her famous charts, making sure that we are going to hold people accountable from bankers to Wall Street. Please welcome Representative Katie Porter.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for that song. I am fired up. Thank you. Happy May Day to everyone. And it is so exciting to see so much grassroots energy today to fight for our country's workers. And I am thrilled that you all are staying engaged and holding government accountable for delivering the pro-worker policies that you want to see, even in what political operatives like to call the off year. Some people ask me, what's it like to constantly be in campaign mode? It must be so hard. It must be so difficult. Hell no. Being in campaign mode means I'm constantly listening to people, hearing about problems in my community and fighting to fix it. That's what I should be doing every single day that I'm a representative. So I love being here with you today. I love seeing what you're doing day in and day out. There is no day off in the fight for American workers. And so I love being able to be out there listening to people, engaging them, and helping them understand what is at stake in this fight for the PRO Act. And, baked into this question about how tough it is to text bank or how hard it is to campaign is this idea that being in conversation with the American people is challenging. And I want to tell you, it can be hard to deal with where people are, but we are only going to move them to where we want them to be tomorrow if we have these conversations and we do this work of doing the outreach. And do you know who benefits when we take an off year? Who benefits when we are told that now is not the time to push, to fight, to campaign? I'll tell you who benefits. It's the corporate special interests that have an everyday, nonstop, all year round, every year operation to drown out the voices of everyday people. Lobbyists don't have an off year, and neither can the workers of this country. So the executives who, they don't have to work multiple jobs to put food on the table. The scam artists who get away with cheating workers and consumers and patients, they're at it all year, but our voices can drown them out. And at its heart, grassroots organizing is about having conversations. When we talk a lot about meeting people where they are, sometimes where people are is in a bad place. And it is our job to find them where they are and lift them up and take them to a better place, a place where they understand that they have the power in the American political system. We have to fight for that power. We can't take it for granted, but they have it. So your job today is to help them feel that power and to give them that opportunity to get engaged. And that value about the importance of the people's power is what drives the way that I question in hearings. When I'm confronting a Trump administration official, thank goodness I don't have to deal with them anymore, or a corrupt corporate executive, what I am thinking about is, what do the American people deserve to know? This is a person in power, and to have power means to have responsibility, and it means to be honest about what you are doing with your power, including what you are doing to help or to hurt the American workforce. So I try to actually ask questions. Why do you, big pharma CEO, deserve to make hundreds of millions of dollars while people can't afford the medications that you make? And of course, sometimes I don't just ask questions, I bring visual aids. You can't really argue with the math when you see it right there on a whiteboard. And here's the reality. It is no accident that a lot of Americans find it hard to stay engaged in politics, that they tune out. The whiteboard and those questions, they're a way of drawing the American people into our political system. Powerful special interests, they benefit when people are told that this is not their business, that they do not have time to just listen to them, when they are pushed or scared out of joining a union or oppressed from voting. They spend millions of dollars trying to create that status quo in this country. And today on May Day, we join together to push back against it. Change happens when we make our voices heard, and it happens so much faster when we organize in our communities and turn our solos into symphonies. There is no intermission in our democracy. There is no off year in our fight against corporate power. To get things done, people need to hear from you every day. People need to hear from elected officials voicing the concerns of workers every day, not just every couple of years on election day. So thank you so much for being the fight, not just for being part of it, but for being the reason and the cause as we come together today on May Day. I'm so proud to join with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Representative Katie Porter, for fighting for workers in your district and across the country. So if you haven't done yet, please take action right now. Tell your senators to pass the PRO Act by texting PRO Act to 30403. Again, 30403. I'm pleased to introduce another representative fighting for working people. They say, and I have to say this, they say that presidents are temporary, but Wu-Tang lasts forever. And coming and representing the great state of New York, the Bronx and Uptown, please welcome Representative Jamal Bowman. Hey.
Wu-Tang, 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 Wu-Tang. Peace and love, everyone. It's a pleasure to join you all this afternoon. Happy May Day to everyone on this call, to you and your family. Thank you for organizing and bringing this together. Huge shout out to the PRO Act Coalition for doing the thing that you all continue to do. We have the House on board. We have the White House on board. Now it's time to get the senators on board. So make sure you text that number where it needs to go, text that information where it needs to go, so our senators know the passing the PRO Act is a must. Every worker in this country should have the right, the human right, to organize, strategize, and mobilize in their workplace. Every worker in this country should have the right, the human right, to collectively bargain. I went down to Bessemer, Alabama with some of my colleagues to learn from workers at an Amazon plant down there who were trying to form a union. Although they didn't win, the workers decided that they would vote against the union in this particular moment. It generated momentum both in Alabama and across the country, not just in support of the PRO Act, but in support of workers all over. We've been living and existing within a plantation capitalist system for far too long. We've allowed the 0.1% to hoard money. We've allowed CEOs to hoard money and make hundreds of times more than their workers. This is about workers organizing. This is about workers sharing in the wealth that they create, which is only right in a democracy, in a society. This is our moment to get it. And it's my pleasure to support the PRO Act with all of you. Once again, I support it because it is a human right to organize. Everyone who works full-time should be able to work with dignity and live with dignity. They should be able to earn a livable wage, universal health care. They should be able to have access to affordable housing, paid leave, sick leave, family leave, vacation time. That is what this is all about. And the PRO Act, I will close with this. The PRO Act is a bridge to us passing Medicare for all and a Green New Deal, because a world where a Green New Deal exists is going to be a world with robust labor unions earning a livable wage. Same thing as we talk about a Medicare for all that extends long-term care and provides optical, dental support as well. So let's make Medicare stronger. Let's pass Medicare for all. Let's pass a Green New Deal. But the first thing we need to do is pass the PRO Act. So thank you all so much for doing what you're doing. Please keep it up. You know, my office is a partner in love and in growing this movement. So please text that number. Wu-Tang forever, everybody. Peace and love to you all. Let's pass the PROACT and get it done.
Thank you so much, Representative Bowman. You know, I'm from Shaolin, so we got the Wu-Tang forever in our hearts. Before I introduce our next speaker, I wanted to just have a quick reminder. Right after the program concludes, we're asking all of you to join our texting campaign. Being spearheaded by the Democratic Socialists of America, shout out to DSA. We'll drop the link to get your texting account set up with Spoke. And if you're watching on Facebook, you can click right on the link on the screen to get set up. It'll be right there, maybe below or above. Right there it will be. This is an honor for me because I appreciate and love the sea of red that is the Communication Workers of America. My mother has been a communication worker my entire life. So please welcome the Secretary Treasurer of CWA, the Communication Workers of America, Sarah Steffens.
Thank you so much, Nalini. And thank you to Representative Bowman and Representative Porter. It's having champions like you in Congress that gives us hope. And I also want to give a shout out to our brothers and sisters from the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. We are proud to be in this fight with you, and we thank you for your leadership. At CWA, we've been talking about runaway inequality for years. But most of you know that since the pandemic, things got even worse. Billionaires saw their net worth grow by $1 trillion, while unemployment reached record highs. Essential workers had to put their lives at risk just to pay the rent. The PROACT is transformative because it reverses decades of seeing power increasingly concentrated in the hands of corporations and billionaires. So we still have a long way to go to pass this groundbreaking legislation, but restoring power to workers, it's within our reach. Here's where we stand. Back in March, the PROACT passed the House of Representatives. Incredibly, due to a lot of hard work, all but one Democrat voted for it. And even more incredibly, 5 Republicans voted for it. So now it's in the Senate, where it already has 47 co-sponsors. Last week, Senator Joe Manchin became the most recent co-sponsor. A huge shout out to our union siblings in West Virginia for leading the fight to make that happen. And then during his joint address at Congress just a few days ago, President Biden once again voiced his strong support and asked Congress to send the PROACT to his desk for his signature. But to get this bill over the top, we're going to need to secure 3 more votes. Senators Kelly and Sinema in Arizona have yet to co-sponsor the bill, and Senator Warner in Virginia also has yet to co-sponsor the bill. We were out this morning letting him know how we feel about that. If we can get the support of these 3 senators, we have a chance, but it will require real courage from Democrats in the Senate. We have to abolish the filibuster. We know that to win on something as totally game-changing as the PROACT, the labor movement cannot do it alone. So it's just amazing to see the breadth of the coalition that's united to support this bill. Unions, of course, but we have other worker organizations with us too. Walmart, other retail workers, rideshare and gig workers, climate organizations, Sunrise Movement, Greenpeace, and progressive allies like the Working Families Party, Democratic Socialists of America, Our Revolution, Move On, Indivisible, so many more. We all understand what's at stake here. We can't have a functioning multiracial democracy if we don't have democracy in the workplace. And we can't build a green economy if workers in the energy sector don't have the power they need to ensure that they can thrive. So if you're watching this, take action right now. We want you to text PROACT to 30403 to send a letter to your senator now. That's PROACT 30403. And if you want to join our texting campaign, kicking off right after this program, that's at bit.ly/protexter. That's www.bit.ly/protexter. Let's do this. We can win this for working people and for democracy in our workplaces, everyone in America. Thanks.
Give it up for Sarah, CWA in the house. Let's go. And also, if you want to see at 3 o'clock, if for those of you who are streaming live, check out at Working Families and at Billy Bragg for a conversation with the incredible Billy Bragg and Sarah after this. So I am super, super, super excited. I'm just having a great May Day today. The whole country watched, a lot of us watched as workers at Amazon, fought for a union in Bessemer, Alabama. The urgency to change our conditions in light of the worker abuse at Amazon. Folks couldn't go to the bathroom. Workers, again, deserve dignity. Whether you're in Bessemer, Alabama, here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, whether you're in the Ozarks, wherever you are in this country, you deserve the right to organize and join a union. And so it is my pleasure to introduce Big Mike Foster, lead organizer at RWDSU. Give it up for Mike here.
Hey, thank you everyone for joining. Just a few things. The reason why I know we need the PRO Act is because of issues that we had trying to organize Amazon. I mean, Amazon went to the extent of even changing the speed of the traffic light so we couldn't talk to workers. They put an illegal mailbox up there requesting workers to drop their ballots inside of this mailbox. They was going to captive meetings 2-3 times a week, which was mandatory. Workers was complaining about they don't want to go to these meetings, but they was mandatory. Nobody cared about the coronavirus, about being 6 feet apart, as long as they was going to these captive meetings. I have single moms who work there at a facility that's majority African American, that's majority female driven, who would have to come to with overtime work at a moment's notice. They're about to get off to go get their children. What kind of position is that to put a single mother in? Their times are being changed while they're asleep. When they wake up in the morning, they're supposed to be at work an hour early, and they didn't know because they were sleeping. They're being docked for these type of things. Just like the TOT time, going to the bathroom in a facility that's 13 football fields big. Takes you a minute to get to and from the restroom, which if you exceed the amount of 2 hours, you automatically terminated. These are things that we were going through trying to organize at the facility, which was over 5,800 people. 5,800 people, which we got the percentage to get into a vote. But after we got into a vote and they started these captive meetings, it seemed like that we kind of lost momentum for a minute. And once we got the list to be able to interact with the people, it was almost like they had already been intimidated, so to speak. They were scared. They was telling them things like they will shut the facility down and move somewhere else. They was telling them that we was gonna come in and take their money, that they was gonna lose their benefits, their insurance, and all of these things. I'm talking about people that was 100% with the union now telling me they don't know which way to go. So this is why we need the PRO Act. And we need the PRO Act very bad in Alabama because it's already a red state. It's a right to work state. So it makes it even that much harder to organize in this place. But I know we can do it. Georgia showed us that they can turn from red to blue. So I know it can happen. So with the PRO Act, it would allow us to be able to gain momentum, continue to allow us to build. And even though the outcome came out not like we wanted to, but the fight is not over with. Let me remind everybody that's on here that the fight is not over with, that we still are filing charges. We believe we're going to get a revote. We feel very strongly about that. So with the PRO Act trying to come into place, hopefully that would allow us to be able to organize facilities like Amazon, who is a economic beast right now. And the thing about it is that I'm grateful that the movement that we started down here ignited all kind of movements elsewhere in other places. Our light shine to allow them to shine, to say, hey, if they can do it in Alabama, we can do it anywhere. So we need to keep that momentum going. We need to keep fighting. We need to keep using our platforms to let these companies know that we're not going to settle for less, that we're going to have a seat at the table, and we will be heard, because Black Lives Matter, workers' rights matter. The labor movement is alive right now, and we will not stop right now. Halfway is not good enough. We need to go all the way.
Woo! 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 Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Woo! Wow. Really appreciate y'all, and we're gonna stand with you until justice is won. Now, before our next speaker, I'm just gonna remind folks once again to text the PRO Act to 30403. Pull out your phones. Text PRO Act to 30403. I'm gonna do a little musical interlude right now before we have a recorded message from one of our champions in the Senate. My daddy was a miner, and I'm a miner's son. He'll be with you, fellow workers, until this battle's won. Which side are you on, child? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, child? Which side are you on? Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab, or will you be a people? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, child? Which side are you on? Okay, all right. Who's pumped to pass the PRO Act? We have a wonderful message from one of our champions in the Senate. So let's hear it up. And I'm going to say some actionable items in a second. You can join our texting campaign right after this call. Just click the link on the Facebook page to get you a free account set up with Spoke, and our friends from DSA will get you set up and run a short training right after the program concludes. So please give it up for a message from Senator Raphael Warnock.
Happy International Workers' Day. Today we pause to celebrate the labor movement here in the United States and around the globe, and all that it has done to protect workers and the dignity of work. Where would we be without the labor movement? My dad, who was a hardworking man and an entrepreneur, used to say to me that workers and laborers don't mind working hard. He understood that they just want to participate and share in some of the prosperity that they are creating for others. And so I believe that with all of my heart, that every human being, regardless of profession, is owed dignity and respect at work. And so today on May Day, and every day for that matter, we continue to stand up for workers and their right to keep the promises that all of us make to our children. Please know that I'm proud to represent Georgia and to fight every day to ensure workers have the means not only to survive, but to thrive. Thank you for all that you do. Know that we will continue to stand with you in the days ahead.
Thank you so much to Senator Raphael Warnock, one of our champions in the Senate. Again, you can join our texting campaign right after this call, because we gotta make sure we organize. Just click the link on the Facebook page to get you set up with a free account, and our friends on Spoke and our friends from the DSA will get you set up and run a short training right after the program concludes. Do not worry, y'all. We're gonna hear another, I promise I'll give another labor song in a bit. But I'm really excited to introduce Thea Rio-Francos, organizer for the Green New Deal Campaign Committee and the Democratic Socialists of America. Please give a warm welcome to Thea Rio-Francos.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy May Day. I'm so honored to be here today representing the Democratic Socialists of America And we are thrilled to be a part of this National PRO-ACT coalition. The PRO-ACT campaign is perhaps the most inspiring, unifying, and galvanizing national campaign our organization has ever participated in. The fight for the PRO-ACT is bringing together DSA comrades that come from the labor movement with those that are more involved with movements for climate justice and the Green New Deal, to our comrades in the struggle for immigrant rights and racial justice. It's galvanizing chapters large and small on both coasts, in the North and the South, in rural and urban areas. You can see this energy in the work that our members are pouring into this historic struggle for labor rights. We are activating thousands of volunteers to make over 700,000 phone calls to constituents in key states, talking to them about the PRO-ACT and connecting them to their senators. These calls flooded the offices of the Democratic senators who hadn't yet decided whether they stand on the side of the working class or the ruling class. And these phone banks have made a difference, as we've already heard, helping push Senators Manchin and King to decide to co-sponsor the PRO-ACT. But of course, as Sarah said earlier, we can't let up. We need the remaining 3 Democratic senators, Kelly, Warner, and Sinema, to commit to do the right thing. That's why over 80 DSA chapters across the country are taking to the streets on this historic day of labor struggle in rallies and marches today to demand the PRO-ACT. And while we'll be hosting lots more phone banks this month, along with other chapter actions. And of course, this campaign isn't just about our members. It's about this broader coalition we're a part of, bringing us together with our allies in the labor movement, the climate movement, and more. We know that the ruling class and the political establishment win when we are divided. It's fights like the PRO-ACT that show us that we're stronger when we're united, connecting the dots between our diverse experiences and struggles. And lastly, and on that note, I want to emphasize that the fight for the PRO-ACT is about more than labor rights. It's about transforming our country. Empowering the multiracial working class, organized through a renewed labor movement, is essential to win all other transformative demands, like a Green New Deal that will confront the climate crisis, dismantle environmental racism, and lift up the material well-being of all of our communities. Just like the original New Deal was won through worker militancy, we can't take on the fossil fuel bosses, private utility companies, and the politicians they bankroll without collective power in our workplaces and our neighborhoods. We can only ensure a truly just transition, a transition that leaves no worker or community behind and instead creates millions of green, dignified, unionized jobs, if we have labor unions, socialists, and the climate movement working in coalition, leading the way to a more equal and sustainable future. This vision is captured in our campaign slogan, "Workers and the World Unite," because the fight for worker power and the fight for a livable planet are one and the same. Thanks, everyone, and let's win the PRO-ACT.
I wish I had an air horn like, brr, 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 brr. Thank you so much, Thea, and thank you to our comrades at the Democratic Socialists of America for texting hundreds of thousands of people and doing actions across the country. Before I introduce our next and final speaker for our May Day rally, one last call to sign up to text following the program. If you haven't signed up to get your texting account set up with Spoke, you can use the link we're dropping in the chat or on the Facebook page. Right after our last speaker, our friends from DSA will run a quick training and we'll stay on the line, put some Jamming for Jobs playlist on, put some music on, and let folks text. You don't have to stay on, but we will have a team on the line to answer any questions. Also, super excited to announce that at 3 p.m., the Working Families Party is beginning a series of conversations with musicians and labor leaders. Starting today at 3 o'clock, the infamous Billy Bragg and CWA's own Sarah Steffens. And we encourage everyone to check that out. Just check out @Working Families on Instagram at 3 p.m. for a live performance with Billy Bragg to support the PRO-ACT. I am gonna do one last song before I introduce, and this goes in the memory of Ann Feeney, who sang labor songs who recently passed away and sang this song that was popularized by movement. So I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me, took it back, ooh, took it back. Oh, when we went down to the rich man's house and we took back what he stole from me, took it back, oh, took it back. And it's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Oh, it's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. If you check out #JammingForJobs right now on Instagram, musicians across the country are standing in solidarity with the PRO Act. And shout out to all of the musicians demanding a penny a stream from Spotify. Musicians deserve unions. Musicians deserve rights and dignity at the workplace. So shout out to all the musicians joining us, and please support their campaign to get a penny a stream from Spotify. This next person is very dear to my heart because the Working Families Party, one of our PRO Act coalition leading organizations, is my political home and has been for the last decade. I am super proud to introduce our fearless leader who comes from movement and music and make sure that we center the most affected people who are leading a multiracial, working class political party for the many and not just the few. Please welcome Maurice Mitchell.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nalini, for that generous introduction. And thank you so much for lifting up your voice in song, as well as lifting up your voice through righteous protest on this hallowed day for workers. So I really appreciate your leadership. Thank you so much. And also thank you to my family from Painters, CWA, DSA, Sunrise Movement, Our Revolution, the AFL, People's Action, Indivisible, Common Defense, Greenpeace. I'm sure I'm missing someone, but know that omission is not an omission that in any way demonstrates a gap in terms of your commitment. It's all on me, and a gap in my commitment to eat ginkgo biloba, to remember all the things I need to in mid-age. So please forgive me for that. So family, I want to talk to you all today about democracy and the power of governing and co-governance. So my hope is that by the time this fight for the PRO Act is won, what we think of as democracy and governance, particularly in the context of organized labor, the political process and society will expand. Now, we need look no further than how the far right has whittled down our definition of democracy as a starting point for what we need to do. They want people to think that democracy is limited to voting, that the very highest form of participatory democracy is showing up on election day, pulling the lever for your candidate, going home, watching the returns, and coming back 4 years later to do the same thing. They wanted to think that that's our job, that's our civic duty, and that alone. But everybody here, everybody who's listening to my voice understands it's going to take a lot more to make this the country we deserve, to truly become a country that cares for and about everyone. We need a different definition of democracy, one that's much broader. And I believe that definition starts with workers, with organized labor. Now, we spend most of our time at work if we're working full time. And if we're advocating for democracy in spaces outside of our workplace, but our workplace isn't democratic and we don't have a say in how the workplace is run or how we manage the profit of our labor or how we decide the most basic, important, critical decisions in work, how can we be full participants in democracy? We find ourselves accepting things that are objectively not okay and sometimes blatantly wrong. because we earn a living from the institution that's mistreating us. We sometimes lead ourselves to believe that we shouldn't have a say, and that as long as the check clears, we can endure one wrong until one wrong turns into two, until two turns into three. And workplace mistreatment, those conditions, that type of workplace mistreatment, that 1 to 2 to 3 wrongs, conditions us to accept poor treatment in the public square, or poor treatment in public education, or poor treatment and corruption in politics, or that police violence is okay or insurmountable, or that our elected officials will always look at them and never towards us, right? So the fight for true democracy involves multiple fronts. Sure, you participate in democracy by casting a vote, but you also participate in a democracy by withholding your labor through strikes, or by collectively organizing your labor through worker co-ops or unions. This is a virtuous cycle. The actions we take inside our workplace also make it easier to engage in protests, direct actions, or vote people in and out through the political process. All of these tactics are central elements and should be connected. They should be nested together in one strategy that forms a common North Star. Organized labor is creating the conditions and modeling what it looks like, where a mass of people actually deal with the challenges and conflicts that come with deciding how the workplace should be run. And make no mistake, we have an opportunity right now to build something powerful and usher in transformative change in this country. These are the moments that we've been waiting for, where we can stop advocating against and start organizing for. The PRO Act is an example, a key example of that. We organized, we voted, now we co-govern with elected officials like Senator Raphael Warnock, Congressman Jamal Bowman, all who have our interest in mind. Only then we have a powerful answer to organized capital. And then we have the ability to move from defense to offense. That's what this is about with the PRO Act. We spent a lot of years organizing against what we didn't want over the past 4 years with Trump. Now we move from defending what we don't want to proposing what we do want in order to create a better and more world for workers and for us all. Now, workers must also advocate and organize outside of the workplace. We have to be concerned about workers and their families in a holistic way. Organized labor has a role to play in protecting Black and brown lives and organize against anti-Asian hate. The same capitalist system, the same organized capital that keeps wages stagnant is the same system that allows militarized police to kill Black and brown people with near impunity. These things are linked. Changing the system requires a multiracial, multi-generational feminist movement that is big enough and broad enough for all of us. And organized labor must be a powerful piece of that movement. Building that is hard work. It is vexing work. There will be contradictions and struggle, but the work is necessary. Now, that's why we need a series of both and propositions, not either or. It's about owning production and our labor through co-ops and unions and other worker organizations so that we can set the table for fair wages and working conditions. But we can't stop there because people power can and should be scaled. This is why I say vote and protest and organize and study and strike, right? Working people at all fronts of struggle. The same people that leave the job site hit the protest line, send in their ballot, sharpen their analysis, and hit the strike line, right? So when we run our workplaces, we have gone from being the governed to those doing the governing. And when we have democratic workplaces, we will demand democratic neighborhoods where we stay safe and the police are under the democratic control of the people. When we have democratic neighborhoods, we will demand democratic communities. When we have democratic communities, we will demand democratic cities. And when we have democratic cities, we will demand democratic states. And when my siblings, my brothers and sisters, we demand and we secure democratic states, we will demand a democratic nation. And when we have a democratic nation, we will have elected officials in a co-governance relationship with us, truly creating the conditions where working people have seized control of their lives, have seized control of our country, and are rightfully in control of the bounty of this country and share it. And that is ultimately how we get free. Thank you.
Woo, woo, woo! My air horn. I really need to just get an air horn these days. Thank you so much, Maurice Mitchell. Really, thank you so much to everyone. I'm gonna go down the list again. Thank you, Representative Katie Porter. Thank you, Representative Jamal Bowman. Thank you, Sarah Steffens, Mike Foster, Senator Warnock, Thea Riofrancos, and Maurice Mitchell. Thank you, everyone who has joined us. We are now going to conclude and say organize, organize, organize. Stay here though, because we have some action, but our speaking and our rally portion is closed, signed, sealed, delivered. We will get the PROAC if we organize, organize, organize. And thank you everyone for joining us. I am going to